All right, so we are together, Sue Opeka. I'm Karen Copperweight, and we're coming together to talk to you today about a little bit about what's going on in our greater world, and also how it relates to something Sue and I are putting together for our communities. And so, Sue, I know you and I started this conversation just by talking about what our own experiences are right now as we are all living with restrictions, isolation, some very purposeful, keeping distance and separation from each other in our physical worlds. And so I know you and I were just talking about what it's been meaning to each of us personally and what we're noticing about, you know, how our experience is. So share with me a little bit about what you're experiencing now, what you're seeing.
I believe, I hope the panic is over. I saw some very disheartening things over the weekend with the way people were treating each other, and I just wanted to do a Rodney King and say, can't we just be kind to each other? It was
Mm,
very disheartening. But then I'm walking around the neighborhood yesterday, and there were so many people out walking, saying hello to each other. I saw people checking on older people that live in the neighborhood, and that really, to me, that is the basics of what people are all about. So I believe that there is good that will come out of this. I believe we'll all be better for it. Um, I do think that people in isolation need to have a way to be in community with others
mhm.
and be connected to others. And that's why this book club can be so powerful.
Absolutely. And that's really what we've been talking about is Sue and I chose for this next Living Life Soulfully book club selection, we had chosen Rising Strong by Brene Brown at least 6 weeks ago. Yeah. And, you know, as things were starting to move progressively more in this direction of panic, of worry, of noticing what's happening, beginning with China, moving to other parts of the world, including Italy, and then just massive spreading everywhere now. Uh, we were all saying, wow, there couldn't be a more perfect time to talk about the rising strong principles, which really have to do with our power to choose how we feel, what our thoughts are, and also the resiliency it takes to move through difficult experiences, the traumas that happen in life, the stories about who we are that can mess us up. And so that was the piece, and the goal of choosing Rising Strong was to recognize the fact that we can rise from our falls. We can overcome our mistakes. We can face hurt. We can face very difficult times in our lives and know that it brings us more wisdom and it brings us more compassion, not only for ourselves, but for our greater world. And I think that's why you and I feel so grounded about making this decision and going ahead with this book.
And what's really so synchronistic about this choice in hindsight is that we could read books like this all the time. But with what's going on now, to me, it makes it more compelling and may even give us a different thought perspective on how we can incorporate it into our lives. You know, you hear the word vulnerability tossed around a lot, and she talks about that a great deal in the book. But with what's going on in the world and the different things we're witnessing, I have a new almost acceptance of being vulnerable because I really have to be. There's so
Yeah.
much not in my control in these next few weeks. There's so much that I am not making the choice about. And so I find myself more open to the kind of things that she talks about in the book.
That's so true. And that's really what this book is all about. It's coming into what she calls the reckoning, or walking in our story, and then the rumble, which is owning our story, which is a huge part of the book. The reckoning is the deep down dirty work, I think.
Mhm. Agree.
And then moving into the revolution. And I know I'm very much like you, Sue, in that I can see the purpose perhaps of why this is happening now. It's definitely not something I would have chosen for all of us, but you can see how it is bringing us together as one unit, a world unit, rather than these little individual clusters, that we have found for each other. But this rumbling piece of owning our story is right now where we're at, right? This is the hard stuff. This is the weeks that we will be called to self-reflect even more. Most of us haven't had that time.
Right. And the beauty of this is the world will be different, and I want to be different in it. I love that word be. How do I want to be? And this book is really going to give me better context around that, and maybe help forge maybe just even a little bit different purpose for me. But again, I just find myself open because I have to be right now.
Absolutely. And I even think that, just asking ourselves some of these questions when the thoughts come over us, whether it's, what if questions, or, what am I going to do? What if this doesn't happen the way I thought it was going to? What's it going to be like in 6 weeks, in 3 months, next school year? Whatever our processing is for moving forward, we really have to stop and be. And maybe invite ourselves to, go into that place of, why am I so scared? What's going on with me?
Mhm.
Whether we choose to journal that, or take a walk, if we can get outside and feel like that's, a safe place for us. It's our time now to start digging in. Like you said, we've got the time now.
And one of the practices that she talks about at length in the book and then carries it through to the end is this idea of not making up a story.
Mm,
So that has really stuck with me, and I find myself using that daily. When something goes wrong or I have a certain emotion or feeling, I'll say, oh, what story am I making up about this? And is it true? The work of Byron Katie is really important too. Is it really true?
yes.
We can make up a lot of stories right now. And so that part of the book is, if for nothing else, I think people will really benefit from hearing that part.
Hmm. So you and I both talked about the Rising Strong process, those steps that she goes through. And what we both also know is the process is wonderful. Understanding and knowing the steps of reckoning, rumble, revolution, it's great. But we're going to be making that choice now to make it a daily practice. It's
Mhm.
not just a process that we can understand, but a practice in which we can move towards, instead of running, you
Agreed.
know.
Agreed.
Yeah, wonderful. So Sue and I are really just sharing today about what we believe is the benefits of the book Rising Strong. But we also hope we inspired you to be thinking about what's going on in this time a little bit differently, to help maybe make you feel more calm, more centered, grounded, and aware. Awareness is really what this is about. We will be beginning this book club, this discussion of Rising Strong, on March 31st. We will have registration open now and moving forward. Sue and I have a closed Facebook group for the book club, and each person who registers will be invited to come into that group, and that's where you'll find us. That's where you'll find all the members coming together at this time to support one another, to talk about whatever feelings, whatever things are coming up for each of us, and to inspire one another. That is the ultimate ability of a community, is to hold space for and to inspire one another. And so if this is something that speaks to anybody who is watching, please know that we would love to have you with us. And if you're somebody that just does not fit well for what you need, we hope that you are safe and protected, and know that both Sue and I are always here, and really appreciate and enjoy our community so much. All right, my
Well,
friends.
I'll just add to the end of that many people are working from home, many people are not going out, and isolation and loneliness can be very damaging. And so if you're someone who really thrives on being in community, we would love to have you join us.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Sue. Thank you to everybody who's watching, and we'll talk to you all soon. Thanks so much.